Sergeant Preston of the Northwest Mounted Police with Yukon King, swiftest and strongest lead dog breaking the trail in the relentless pursuit of lawbreakers in the wild days of the Yukon. Back to the days of the gold rush as Sergeant Preston with his wonder dog Yukon King meets the challenge of the Yukon. This is the Yukon, the territory patrolled by Sergeant Preston. A wild and untamed land of breathtaking beauty, sudden riches, and sometimes sudden death. Moccasin Bend, a small village a few miles north of Whitehorse, gateway to the Yukon. No place in those days of violence and greed was safe from the spoilers who settled among the honest, hard-working miners. To some criminals, the Yukon seemed a land where they could get away with anything, even murder. But because of the constant vigilance of the Northwest Mounted Police, citizens in the territory came to rely upon these brave men in scarlet, and few crimes went unpunished. One of the best of these was Sergeant Preston, who, with his great dog Yukon King, answered the call from Moccasin Bend.
There we go. Oh, there you are, Donnie. Hey, you're getting to be quite a man.
Sure, soon I'll be helping Dad at the office, and I'll be able to buy my own dog, too. One just like King.
Boy. Why the crutch, Molly?
Oh, nothing serious, Sergeant. Molly got a touch of frostbite, but her foot's doing nicely.
I can still cook, though, and that's what's important, eh, Jim?
Molly.
I was only teasing. But if you really want to hear my man Fred, just mention the express office.
Still grousing because you haven't enough to grub to take a claim, Jim?
After all, that's what we came to the Klondike for, isn't it? I could have worked in an office back home.
Patience, Jim.
That reminds me, what are you doing away from the office this time of the day?
Oh, a fellow named Daniels, Jack Daniels, kindly offered to help out when Molly was taken down last week.
Jack Daniels? I don't believe I know him.
He and his partner, Mr. Holtz, began prospecting here about last summer. You should meet him, Sergeant.
Be very happy to, Molly. As a matter of fact, I'll probably be around for 2 or 3 days investigating old Ben's murder.
I figured that's what brought you here. Terrible thing.
Yes, it is, Jim.
I hope you'll bunk here with us while you're in town, and I won't take no for an answer, Sergeant.
Thanks, Molly. I'd be very grateful for your hospitality.
Oh, Donnie, how'd you like to run down the express office and tell Mr. Daniels I'll be a bit late, huh?
Swell! May I take King with me?
Well, what do you say about that, King? Well, there's your answer. Come on, let's get going, you two.
And stay out of mischief.
Oh, Mom.
All right, I'll pick up.
Come on, King. Come on.
I wish we could afford a good dog for Donnie. He loves them so.
We will someday. But right now, why don't we all sit down and be comfortable? I don't want you to have a relapse, Molly.
He's still afraid he'll have to do his own cooking.
Oh, Molly!
Well, Jim, what do you know about old Ben's murder?
Nothing, except that he was shot.
There you are, Daniels. The only bad apple in the dog team I bought for us from Indian Joe. Doesn't seem to care what happens once he's out of harness. Ran smack dab into a post a while ago.
I should have known better than to let you buy a team for us. If this is what I think it is, I'll either have your hide or Indian Joe's or both.
Why, you blockhead. I ought to kick your teeth in. That dog's blind.
Just a minute. How was I to know? I'm no dog expert.
I'll tell you one thing you're going to know right now. The price of that mutt's coming out of your share of the take. First, you disobey orders and kill old Ben for a measly $100, taking the chance on spoiling our whole setup here. And now, this.
Gee, King, aren't they swell? Wish I had one. Someday I'll have the best dog in the whole world next to you. You just wait and see. Come on. Hi, Mr. Daniels. Come on, Mr. Holmes. Come on, King.
Hello, kid.
Well, what brings you down here, Donnie? Where's your dad? He's late.
Dad said to tell you he'd be late on account of Sergeant Preston came to our house. And this is his dog, King. Isn't he great?
Why, yeah, that's fine. What's Preston doing here, Donnie? Is he going to arrest you for swiping cookies?
No. Besides, he's my friend. And I bet he stays with King at our house, too. Just like always.
Why, now, that's fine.
Real great, I'd say.
Gee, Mr. Daniels, is that swell dog yours?
Well, you might say he's mine, Donnie, but not for long.
What do you mean? Isn't he part of the team outside?
He was part of the team, but he's no good, Donnie, so I'm going to have to put him to sleep.
You mean kill him?
Yeah, that's about it, kid.
Please, Mr. Daniels, don't kill him, please.
Look, kid. The mutt's blind. Why don't you run along?
I know how you feel about dogs, Donnie, but what can I do with a blind husky? I can't use him and nobody else will buy him.
I would.
You?
Sure. I have a dollar saved up. I'll show you. I earned it cleaning out Mom's cupboards. There it is. I hope that'll be enough, Mr. Daniels.
Well, kid, if you want the mutt that bad...
What Otto was going to say was, if you want the dog that bad, you can have him. For nothing. Wasn't it, Otto?
Oh, sure.
Gee, thanks, Mr. Daniels.
Here, give me your string.
Being blind makes no difference. I bet King will help me train him, too. Won't you, King? I need a name for him. Something almost as good as a king. What's next to a king, Mr. Daniels?
Oh, a duke, maybe. Or a prince.
That's it, Prince. Come on, Prince, old fella. Thanks again, Mr. Daniels.
You're welcome, Donnie.
Bye.
Bye now.
Come on, King. Bye.
You penny Annie crook. I believe you'd have taken that kid's dollar.
Well, it's money, ain't it?
You're too greedy, and you'll hang for it someday. Now get on over to the store with what's left of the team and load up supplies. We're going to need them when we hit the trail.
I'm sorry, Donnie. You had no business accepting this poor animal for Mr. Daniels without asking your mother and me first.
But Prince isn't a poor animal, Dad. He's a good dog. Being blind makes no difference. He's smart. King and I have taught him a lot already. Haven't we, King?
Look, son, a handicapped dog is no better than a lame horse, except on a team.
Jim, aren't we being a bit too hard on Donnie? We always agreed he should have a dog for companionship. Donnie's got no one his own age he can play with. It's not good for him to grow up that way. It's not fair.
Now, look, Molly, no one can accuse me of being unfair, especially to my own son.
Then you let me keep Prince?
I didn't say that.
Well, then, why don't we leave it to a disinterested party to decide? Someone who knows more about dogs than any of us. What do you think, Sergeant?
Looks like I've been elected to judge this case. Well, I believe a handicapped dog, if he's a good one, can, like handicapped people, develop their other senses beyond normal to compensate for the handicap. And I believe that Prince is a good dog.
Then you believe that the dog can be trained to take care of himself?
Well, I've been watching him closely since Donnie brought him home. It's my opinion that Prince is a highly intelligent animal. With love and proper training, I think he could become a real asset, in spite of his blindness.
In other words, you think we should allow Donnie to keep him?
For Donnie's sake as well as the dog, yes.
Yippee!
We'll do as you suggest, Sergeant.
Well, now that that's settled, King and I better get started on the job we came here to do.
You'll be back in time for supper, won't you, Sergeant?
Well, that's problematical, Molly. If I get through in time this evening, I promised Rye Stewart I'd stop out at his place. He asked me to look at one of King's pups he's breaking in as a new lead. I'll get word to you through Jim.
Oh, not tonight, Sergeant. Oh, I have a big shipment of gold going out first thing in the morning, and a long monthly report to go with it. Why, it'll take me half the night to get my paperwork in order.
Well, I'll get word to you some way, Molly. And Donnie, if your mother will let you, bring Prince by the office, and if King has time, he'll show him a few more pointers.
Thanks.
Sergeant, if you see Daniel, will you tell him I'll be right along to him?
I'd be glad to.
Pardon me just a minute. I'll be right back. Why, you thieving redskin, I ought to...
Oh! Take that knife. All right, on your feet. Now, suppose you tell me who you are and what this is all about.
I'm Jack Daniels, Sergeant. I've been helping out at the express office here. This Indian cheated my partner, sold him a blind dog. I guess I just saw red when I saw him passing by bold as brass just now. I'm sorry I lost my temper. Holt should have known better than to trust an Indian in the first place.
I don't like talk like that, Daniels. There have been more Indians cheated in the Yukon than white men. What's your story, Joe?
White man wrong. Me tell his partner no find best team his price. Him say take any team cheap price. So I take.
Seems your partner got just what he paid for, Daniels. In any case, I've known blind dogs to work out just as well as any other dog on the team. Sometimes better. You two shake hands and forget all about this now. Come on. All right. There'll be no more fighting. Understand? Here's your knife, Joe. Be on your way. The rest of you, break it up.
Whoa! What's all the fuss about?
You and your cut-rate ideas. But never mind that. I've just thought of a plan to get rid of that nosy Mountie and to get even with Indian Joe at the same time, while we make a clean getaway with the gold in the express office.
Sounds great if it works.
It'll work. You unload this stuff over at our cabin. Meet me at Indian Joe's place in half an hour. If he falls for the idea, I'll tell you all about it when you get there.
Okay. But what if the Mountie doesn't swallow your plan?
Then there'll be just one less sergeant on the force for us to worry about.
Kill him, huh? That suits me fine. He's liable to find out who murdered old Ben. Yes, sir, Daniels. Now you're talking my language.
All right, get going.
All right, you Huskies.
Otto Holst went to meet Daniels at Indian Joe's cabin.
The Indian hasn't gotten here yet. I've been making myself at home. Come on in. I've been hoping you'd beat Indian Joe here.
Why, there ain't anything in here worth taking.
Nothing but these. They may come in handy. Quick, hide them in the sled before that Indian gets back.
What for? We can't even get a can of beans out of these.
No, but they could save our necks. They'll make a good plant. Or in case a certain friend of ours gets too smart. These are nice and quiet. And they belong to Indian Joe.
Pretty slick. I'm sure glad you're on my side.
Just remember to keep me there. All right, get these hidden before that Indian comes back.
Come on, Ben.
Well, hello, Sergeant.
Hello, Jim.
They're just about the two best dogs ever.
Am I glad to see you, Sergeant. Donnie's been on pins and needles waiting for you. I was beginning to think you weren't coming.
You don't think I'd disappoint Donnie, do you?
Have any luck?
No. Complete blank so far. That's why I came back to the office. I'm going back up and look around old Ben's place again. Maybe I'll pick up some evidence on the second look.
You mean you and King have to leave again already?
No, I'm not taking King on this trip. Bryce Stewart asked me to take his new lead for a sort of fail test. You know, she's one of King's pups. Which reminds me, Donnie, how would you like it if I left King here with you and Prince?
Golly Moses, you really will?
Sure, why not? After all, King's the best teacher for Prince.
How long do you expect to be gone, Sergeant?
I don't know, Jim. Be a few hours. If I'm not back by the time you're ready to leave, Donnie, take King home with you. And tell your mother that I won't be home for supper.
Sure. Thanks a lot, Sergeant Preston.
You're more than welcome, young man.
So long, Sergeant.
Why don't you stay there, King? You're not going with me this time.
Bye.
Bye.
Preston's trip to Old Ben's cabin took him over a trail within hailing distance of Indian Joe's place. But he had no way of knowing that the murderer he looked for in vain was at that very moment close at hand.
Oh! What's the big idea of stopping here?
Shut up. Listen. Preston's still snooping around. Give me that bow and arrow you hid, quick.
What you gonna do?
I'm going to have a little target practice. And Preston's the target. We got to get rid of him before he suspects us.
Run! Come on. Trusty Trail's playing hard by these prices, Chinook. Hope we don't run into trouble without King's help. How you doing, huh?
Let's get out of here.
Go!
Preston had a narrow escape. He would have followed the archer, but feared without King's aid he might be ambushed. So he decided to drive on to Ben's cabin for any further clues, then try to locate the arrow's owner later.
Okay, pal. Suppose you tell me what I'm being let in for.
In a few words, you're being let in for half of the gold in the express office safe. I'm sure there must be at least $10,000 in there. Sit down.
That's the good part. What's the bad? How do we get into the safe, and what's more important, how do we get by with it?
By using our heads. I finally got a chance to learn the combination yesterday when Jim opened the safe in front of me. A little before 9, when we can be certain that Jim's had his supper brought to him and he's alone, we lure him out back of the office and slug him before he gets a look at us. After we drag him back inside, we clean out the safe.
So far, I follow you easy. But where does the Indian come in?
The Indian thinks he's taking a load of skins for us to Yukon crossing. You heard me tell him. So he takes off with the sled north from the office. Everybody will think Joe did the job and is trying to escape. The Indian knows I've been helping out at the express office, so he suspects nothing of my being there tonight.
Okay, so far. But what if you didn't kill Preston?
So what if I didn't? He'll probably find out the arrow's Indian Joe's. That'll make him light out after the Indian faster than ever.
And what happens to you and me?
Tomorrow night, we split the take and head for the border. Each $5,000 richer. By the time Indian Joe is caught and questioned, we'll be across the border with the gold.
I've got to hand it to you, Jack. You ain't missed the bet.
That's where you're wrong, Otto.
What do you mean?
Nobody's betting. This is a sure thing.
Who is it?
Me, Indian Joe, bad hurt. Joe? Where are you? Quick, let's get him inside before the Indian gets here.
What the thieves didn't know was that Molly had delayed sending out Jim's supper, hoping Preston would return first.
Monkey.
The skins are already loaded, Joe. You remember your instructions?
Indian Joe no forget. Me take skins to Yukon crossing from man at hotel named Smith. Much hurry, no stop. Oh, you pay now?
Here you are. And don't forget what else I told you. Smith's in a rush for the skins. You make fast trip on the trail, he'll pay you more gold.
That's good.
Then get going. And watch out for robbers. Don't stop for anything.
Me go fast. No catch, Indian Joe.
Come on, Otto. Let's make it snappy while the coast is clear.
Dad, we're here.
The kid, quick.
Monkey. Come on. Dad, where are you? Dad! What happened?
Indian Joe robbed me. Quick, go get Sergeant Preston.
Find Sergeant Preston, please. He's probably at Rice Stewart's place. You were there yesterday. Rice Stewart. Understand? I'll find Sergeant Preston. You want out, fella? Come back, Fritz. Come back.
Never mind that dog now. Get me loose.
Prince hated Daniels because of the abuse he had received from him when they first met. He had recognized his scent immediately in the express office and followed him to the cabin.
What the blazes do you think you're doing?
We're divvying up, ain't we?
Not now, you fool. Not till tomorrow night when we're sure everything's okay.
I'd feel better if we split the take now, Daniels.
What's the matter? Don't you trust me, Holst?
I wouldn't trust my own mother with that kind of gold. I say now, Daniels.
Thank goodness King found me at Rye Stewart's place, Jim. There, that ought to do. Now, suppose we go over your story once more.
What's the use, Sergeant? I told you. Indian Joe lured me outside there, knocked me out, unlocked that safe, took the gold, and made his getaway in that sled he sold Jack Daniels. I can believe my own eyes and ears, can't I?
Perhaps. People have been fooled by their own eyes and ears before. You're just assuming that Indian Joe unlocked that safe. You were unconscious. There's one peculiar fact, though.
What's that?
There were two sets of heavy footprints leading in the opposite direction taken by the sled. Then there's the matter of prints.
What about the dog? He ran away, that's all.
Donnie, suppose you tell me once more. What was your dog doing just before he ran off?
Well, he came over and sniffed around Dad, then asked me to let him out the back door. I opened the door and he ran out like lightning.
Prince has an extraordinary sense of smell because of his handicap. Jim, I don't think the dog ran off. His tracks are following the footprints. I think he's trailing the criminal because it's someone he recognized.
Well, what are you going to do?
Well, King and I'll track down the dog and the footprints before heading off with the sled. And I'll wire the next town to have them stop Indian Joe. He passes through there. Meanwhile, I think you and Donnie should go on home. Come on. Come on, Jim.
Ho, ho! Something's at the door. See what it is. Come on. Keep him busy. Offer to give up. Anything. I'll get rid of him.
I want to talk to you, Holt. You and Daniels come out with your hands up.
I'm alone, Sergeant. I don't know what this is all about, but come in anyway.
Go down the corner. Put your gun on the bed. Now, where's your partner?
Right here.
Down! Back in the corner. On your feet, Holt. Hurry up. Get over there. Get into these. Arrest you two in the name of the crown. You should be mighty proud of Prince, Donnie. He's a real hero today. If it hadn't been for his sharp nose, why, we'd have chased Indian Joe instead of the express robbers and the murder of old Ben.
You mean one of them killed old Ben?
Yes. Daniels accused Holst, and Holst admitted to robbing your safe, also to old Ben's murder.
I'd have been ruined if you hadn't recovered that gold from me, Sergeant. It's a lucky thing you follow those footprints instead of Indian Joe, or they'd be across the border with it now.
Well, they both forgot about the telegraph. It's a simple thing to wire the next town and have Indian Joe stopped and questioned. Being an honest man, he had no reason to avoid the town.
Please, Sergeant, may I ask you something?
Fire away, Donnie.
If my dog Prince gets real smart, I mean even smarter than he is now, could he be a manny like King?
Well, what do you think about that, King?
What did King say?
Well, I think he thinks that Prince has been acting like one all along.
Thanks, King.
Well, King, this case is closed.